everyone. So my name is Ewuradjoa Quansah, and I'll be presenting today on ChatGPT's efficiency and mathematical calculations. So I'm from St. Petersburg State University, as I was introduced. So moving on, this is the agenda I'm going to follow. We'll start with the motivation for the research. So why are we doing the research? We'll look at some research questions, the theoretical framework used, the strategy of empirical study, conclusion, and some contributions. So why did I embark on this study? So the main reason is most of us are nowadays integrating ChatGPT or generative AI in almost everything we do, even in academia, in different fields. And so it calls for the need to investigate some of the potential limitations these tools may pose to us. Also, in terms of problems that come up as we use the technology. So we had a couple of complaints from some peers. I work as an academic as well. So we had some lecturers complaining about they try to use ChatGPT to maybe example, one of my colleagues in the accounting department tried to use this to sort of help him solve the questions so he doesn't waste too much time on preparing lessons, trying to address some of the issues he had. And some of the complaints that came about is there was constantly inconsistencies in some of these results. So he had to cross-check and sometimes do it normally. And I also tutor some students, and both at the university and at lower levels. Some said when they give them assignments, they just copy and paste it onto ChatGPT and then copy paste whatever result they get back there. And you have, I have a colleague who also complained that she submitted her paper to a journal, and the feedback that came, it was from a ChatGPT. And how did she know it was from a ChatGPT response? Because the academic or whoever reviewed her paper, they don't even take the time to take out the parts where, ChatGPT's response has this kind of structure to it. So it was everything from the response. And most of it, at least in her context, did not really make sense. So these are some of the things or the reasons that drove this research. And most academics are using it. Most people at the universities were doing some research that has confirmed that most of us are using it in our field of work. So it's vital we look at some of the limitations these tools pose. So before I go into it, I would like us to take a deep dive at what generative AI is. So genuinely, ChatGPT we're talking about. So it's where we make use of deep learning models. We presented earlier, some of our colleagues have talked about this. So it's where we have a large amount of data that helps us to come up with high quality text and images. So examples, so based on the data they are trained on. So examples include Claude AI, ChatGPT, Dale, and others, and there are a number of tools coming up now. And looking at why we use these tools, because it's fast, and most of the time, if you are supposed to maybe read an article or do certain things, it takes longer than we would normally do. That's why we see most of us integrating this into our work, into most of the things we do. So there's cost savings, there's facilitation of brainstorming. Most people use it for other things. If you want to come up with an idea, you just shove it in and it gives you some feedback. So the framework used here is the human AI collaboration framework. So this is where the AI complements human intelligence. So I look at the literature, I've mostly talked about most of the things here, so I won't go back onto it. But we harness these tools in various forms, such as teaching, learning, research, in our day-to-day work in the office, in banks, and other things. The concerns regarding the application. And another thing is the over-reliance on these language models. So I had a colleague who's he had a paid account, and I think for a day or so, he couldn't make payments to the paid account. He was stressing. He didn't know what to do. He had to call other people to help him pay. And this is how over-reliant that we've become on these tools. And it's also calls for an urgent call to do something about this. Also, the potential spread of misinformation. So many of us do not even verify the information. We just copy and paste. We don't check, like the review example I gave. So if the person took their time to maybe go through, they would have realized some inconsistencies there, which probably a lot of people or some people do not do. And also, those of us or most of you that have used it will realize that there are some timelines that sort of restrict the technology. So you have to be open-minded when using it. And then the lack of truth or ethics in using the tool. What's the gap? So the gap is to sort of address the transparency here, the oversight, the biases, as we said, as our earlier presenters from Japan and other ones mentioned, that it's mostly based on the data that we train on. So there could be biases, and as humans, we have biases in a lot of forms. But aside that, there are problems associated with it as well. So the research question posed was, what are the pitfalls associated with using these tools, the generative AI tools like ChatGPT? How can these pitfalls be mitigated? So we looked at ChatGPT, so it'll be wise to give a background about it. So developed by OpenAI, which most of us hopefully know, and it was released in January 2020, that's the GPT-3. And looking at the strategy of empirical study, how we went about testing this, we used the experimental research design, and this involved mostly mathematical calculations. And we use GPT 3.5 because it's broadly used, but we also cross-verified with GPT-4 to the paid version as well. Also, cross-verification were done using manual calculator and Excel calculations. And we use 3.5 because it's widely available and mostly used by a lot of people. And a lot of people have access to that than the 4. So the methodology involved calculation of different mathematical problems. So we had basic problems, we had advanced and cross-reference with Excel and manual calculations as well as a calculator. So the first step was to just ask the system or the AI to count a random set of numbers. So the command, as you can see on your screen, count numbers in range. And this was the response. It says 32. If you have a quick count at the numbers there, you realize it's 33. So we verified this with a manual count as well as a calculator. It's not 32, but it's 33. That was the basic one. So most of us mostly do a follow-up to ChatGPT. So we asked it, are you sure? And it says, apologies. So it says that it made a mistake, but still it doesn't give us the accurate number. And looking at, we took it a little step further. Now we said, okay, try and find the average of some random set of numbers. And we did this a couple of times with different numbers. And this was the response. So one thing we realized that ChatGPT is able to give us
Sorry
the
to interrupt,
process.
Professor. Your slides are not moving.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I try again?
Just hold on.
Hello?
Please hold on.
Okay.
Is it moving?
Yeah, now it's moving.
But not in full screen. Can we see now?
Yes, we can see. Maybe you could just put it on slide mode.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
So there is the key at the end, at the bottom right, where you have just click on, I think that one. No, not the one next to it. The one next left. You will see it's written there when you get there. Yes, that one, yeah. Yes, just go ahead. We can see.
Probably I need to proceed like that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's working.
That's why it's not working. Making big is not working.
It's full.
No, it's not full here. It's full here. It's not. This is the projector. It's not working. Let's just work with what we have. Okay. So guys, I'm just gonna use that because for some reasons it's not projecting to full screen. So because you missed the slides, I'm not going to talk about it again. I'm just going to. Yeah, both. I don't remember. Yeah, it's now full screen. Wow, strange. It's not changing. It's working. It's a different. Okay, guys, does it work? Okay, so I'm not gonna say everything I've said, just the parts of the empirical study. So you see what I was talking about. So this was the basic one, and then ChatGPT's response as 32, but a manual count and a calculator showed it was 33. Then we followed it up with a command, are you sure? And it said 31, but as we said initially, it was 33. Okay, so I'll continue from here. So we moved it on to, I'll say an elevated or higher complexity, and we asked it to find the average of a random set of numbers. So as I said, it's identified the correct process of going about the instruction. That is finding the sum, then counting the total number and dividing it by the total number. So if you look at the instructions on your screen, it did that, but from a verification, we realized that this is not the case, but the total number now is 33. But if we see previously, it gave us 31 and 32. So there are a lot of inconsistency there. Then we verified with manual calculations, a calculator as well as Excel. So looking at your screen, you see that Excel gave us the total as 335. This is the sum. And the individual count was 33. And an average obviously gave us 106.06, which ChatGPT reported differently as 83.58. So to further ensure that maybe most of the time what we do is we ask the system to give us, okay, maybe correct yourself. We give it the opportunity to do the right thing or an improved version. So we added another command, and the command was calculate it like you would do in Excel. So we wanted to see, okay, if we ask it to calculate in Excel like we verified, would it be different? Would it give us the right answer? And it didn't give us the right answer, but it was kind of close, but still it's a mathematical calculation, so it's wrong. So this tells us that we need to be very careful in the way we use ChatGPT. So coming to the end of this presentation, some conclusions is that ChatGPT is able to identify the correct process, and sometimes it can give you some correct things. And if you're not vigilant, if you don't take a closer look, you might think all is well, but then it might not be the case. And as I said, we also cross-check this with ChatGPT. So somebody say, okay, you did it with the basic version. What about the paid version? We did it with that, and there were still inconsistencies. Tried with other accounting problems as well, and we still found that. And then another limitation of this tool is that it easily admits its mistake. So even if you is something said that is correct and you say, oh, you are wrong, it apologizes and then try to give you something. Maybe it might be correct and we are wrong. So we also need to be extra careful, because whatever we tell the machine or the tool, it sort of listens to us. So what are some of the contributions of this research? So it's draws our attention or sheds light on the limitations of using this tool. And we are cautioning all of us, workers, as well as researchers, academics, and scholars. It's very vital in our area of work, because we might end up passing the wrong information or doing the things that might not help us. It also gives us insights to responsible use, development, and deployment of the tool. This methodology we went about to could be used to check future possible research. So it's sort of its rigorousness. Sorry. Also, this research enhances awareness and is cautioning us to be vigilant in the way we use it, and also to deter our over dependence on these tools. It's good to be dependent on it, but we should be careful in the way we use them. And the practical implication or contribution of this research will be that it sort of guide us in the way we use the tool. It's cautioning scholars on the way it's used. It's drawing our attention to further verify the feedback we get from the tool. And we should know that it's limited to a time span. So this is really cautioning academics. I know some scholars that use this to mark scripts of students. So imagine you shoving students' answers into something like this and not taking your time to verify. We can see the implications and the harm it can cause to future generations. So this brings me to the end of my research. Looking forward to your feedback and questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, you can ask. If not, thank you.
I had comment.
Okay.
No questions, comment. I see similar errors, but when I asked to ChatGPT, please provide me some reference for something. ChatGPT give me some reference, and I went to look the reference, and that reference did not exist. So there are a lot of mistakes, but also I think there are benefits.
Yeah.
For example, I'm studying quantum computing, and at the beginning when I started, it was really difficult for me because I didn't understand many. And I asked ChatGPT, help me with that, and help me a lot. And I asked several times, and at the beginning appeared some errors like you mentioned, like apologize because this was wrong. But they help me, even with the errors, help me.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to share your opinion, because not all the people take the responsibility of really check if the information is correct.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice topic.
Thank you.